It's the new, it's the cutting edge. It's always what's driving the technology market.
That's exactly where investors are finding the biggest momentum plays.
The forecast for the next couple of years is for a sustained 20% growth rate. We think that outlook is too cautious.
MarketBeat's Thomas Hughes shares a list of 3 bullish growth stocks investors won't want to miss.
This company has only just entered its reversal. It's only just begun to make revenue. Build a position smartly now and wait for a couple of years and sell the whole thing at 100%, 200%, 300% gain.
The 3 names you'll wish you had in your portfolio this time next year. Let's dive in. Thomas, so great to have you back on the show with 3 exciting stocks to talk about today. I feel like investors have really turned toward growth again. A lot of investors looking for that next big growth play. And you have 3 names for us today that have a lot of bullish momentum. I'm excited to get to that list. Let's talk first about why we're seeing so much momentum, especially in some of these small to mid cap companies, too.
So they're all advancing technologies in ways that are commercializable and are useful for society. So those two things go together and kind of pave a robust long-term growth outlook for them. But what we saw over the last week was some bullish activity in the charts, including some volume increases and some bullish price action that just points to either extending rallies that are in place, breaking markets to new high, crossing pivot points, reversals, and potential for long-term gains.
Excited to get into some of these names because, like you said, there's a lot of potential for these companies simply because of the concept of their business being so strong right now. And I think that's why we're seeing the charts look the way they are right now. So let's jump into that first name on your list of a company that's got a lot of bullish growth happening right now with even more growth to come.
Right, that's Amprius Technologies. Amprius Technologies makes next generation silicon anode lithium ion batteries. So still just lithium ion batteries, but with the silicon anode, they have some enhancements, which includes a better durability in high power situations, faster charging, faster discharge, and higher energy density, which makes them applicable for lots of industries, including aerospace. Amprius has got a lot of business with EVTOL and with drones. Right now, the company has begun to sell its products. It's been ramping its production. Growth is accelerating. The guidance has been very favorable. The forecast for growth is also very favorable and probably too low given the deal volume. And all of this bullishness is being seen in the charts. The chart action to me is really a textbook bull market bottom and reversal. So what we've seen is the market hit a bottom late middle of last year, and since then, the volume has been steadily increasing as the price action has been increasing. Over this past week, the market hit a new long-term, almost 3-year high on a record high spike in volume. This is very significant for this market. I would say based on this signal, we would expect this stock to enter a full reversal, begin an uptrend that could easily double its price over the next year or two.
I think it's hard for investors when they see this much growth so quickly. The spike that this chart has is it's pretty impressive. You question whether you should get in right now when it's already this high. Share with investors kind of a strategy when you're looking at stocks that have this much momentum. Is it okay to get in on them for the first time as an investor when they're at this rate? Do you wait for that pullback? What does that look like for new investors into the stock?
Well, right. So market timing is really difficult, and you could end up cutting out your own profits by trying to time ups and downs like that. You got to look at the long-term outlook with this stock. This company has only just entered its reversal. It's only just begun to make revenue. The analysts have only just begun to get on board with this long-term outlook. We think that outlook is too cautious. So what I'm expecting is to see a persistent cycle of company outperforming its estimates, the analysts raising their targets, and then outperformance and raising over and over again for the next few quarters at least, leading this market higher. Within that, the analyst trends, as far as the stock price targets, are also bullish, leading this market into a significant gain. Would expect to see those also continue to move higher over time. So, in this light, whether you buy in now, a dollar lower, 25-cent higher, doesn't make as much of a difference as if you just build a position smartly now and wait for a couple of years and sell the whole thing at 100%, 200%, 300% gain. You got to think that if this batteries, this next generation batteries really provide all these benefits, eventually this battery type will overtake the existing market. So Amprius really does have quite a long growth trajectory ahead of it.
Yeah, really good point that future growth is something that investors should really pay attention to here. Well, a great first pick, Thomas. Let's move on to the second bullish growth pick on your list.
That's Joby, Joby Aviation, that they're working on EVTOL aircraft. They're well on the way to commercialization. The story, the narrative this year is that we're expecting a final regulatory approval by the end of the year. They've also inked some deals like in Dubai to build their first airports in Dubai. We're expecting commercial operations to commence early next year, by the middle of next year, in several locations, including overseas. Revenue will commence, earnings will commence, and all of this is being seen in the price action. Over the last 5, 6 quarters, the volume has really become elevated. And in the last couple of months, we've seen a spike on top of that elevation. At the same time, the MACD momentum indicator is converging with the new highs, showing strength and building momentum in the market. Just this past week, we've set a new long-term high, which is very significant for Joby. It's come up to that point several times in the past 2 years and not been able to cross it. Now that we're moving to new long-term highs, I see the market able to sustain more of a rally from this point forward. So now we might get another consolidation or a pullback, but that will present a buying opportunity. Expecting the news cycle to continue to be positive. That buying opportunity should lead to new highs later this year, and then again later, early next year, and then again later on next year.
And this is a company that every time we bring it up, you also want to talk about the competitors out there because Joby and Archer kind of go hand in hand. What's your take? We had a guest on the show last week talking about Archer being the better pick over Joby. What's your thoughts on investing in both of these or one over the other? Do they move together, or are there unique things about these companies that have Joby making the list today and not Archer?
Well, right. They kind of do move together. And I would say that as a group, they're both very investable. They both offer some advantages and some differences. Ultimately, I think the market for the regional and the localized eVTOL market is huge. More than enough room for both of them. So we're talking about like a Ford and a GM situation here, where they both have plenty of room to grow. It's just a matter of which one commercializes their product first. They're both on track for commercialization. Late this year, early next year. So again, it's really like a kind of a coin toss. Which one is the better buy right now?
Yeah, both very good plays. But another thing I want to address is something we hear from viewers in the comments every time we talk about these EVTOL stocks, and that's fears about whether there could be an accident or a crash, or whether this technology will actually um, really commercialize the way that people are expecting. Anything to say about these companies and the potential for headlines or safety concerns, or even just the effectiveness and the popularity of these products once they launch, impacting the stock price?
Right. As far as the safety goes, they've been undergoing a rigorous safety and regulatory process that is intended to ensure that they're safe to fly. Air traffic is very safe today. It's safer than driving. There's going to be headlines. There's going to be crashes. Things are going to happen. But I think that these companies are on track for safe operations. It's just a matter of getting the regulatory approval and getting the businesses up and running.
Yeah, I think once we see this new kind of product launch and really get commercialized and let the consumer kind of decide what they think of these companies, I think we're going to see these stocks really take off. So that's why investors are so interested in them right now, because we're still kind of just before that launch really, really happens. Do you expect that commercialization to fully happen yet this year, at the end of this year, or is it still um, into the next calendar
Well,
year?
it really depends on when they get their approvals. Approvals are expected to come before the end of the year. They are ramping production. They're establishing their footprint, their infrastructure. So it's just a matter of timing. So late this year, early next year. But it looks pretty certain.
All right, Thomas, another good company for investors to look at for growth right now. Let's get to that last name on your list of another really great momentum growth stock out there.
Right, so that's Ambarella. Ambarella is focused on computer vision, edge computing, and AI. As far as the future of AI goes, we're looking at it being dominated by physical AI, machines, and robot. And so Ambarella will be the eyes of all these machines. Right now, their products are gaining traction. They got a lot of applications in governments and drones, also in security. Um, They didn't see the AI boom that some other companies have because it's taken some time for the market to advance to where we need computer vision, to where the IoT and physical AI is really starting to advance. But the last earnings report, they showed some traction. We're expecting that to continue with upcoming earnings report. The forecast for the next couple of years is for a sustained 20% growth rate, which could possibly be too cautious given the expectation for IoT and physical AI growth. So again, the analysts have been lifting targets and raising their sentiments. You see this all in the price action. Ambarella is still moving sideways within its range, but it's showing strong support at a critical level where it's shown support in the past. It looks like it's getting ready to move higher. If this upcoming report affirms the outlook, then I would expect to see the stock move to a new high, break out of this trading range, and enter a full reversal.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those stocks that's seen such rapid growth right now because of all of the investment in AI. And it's one of many companies in this space seeing a big boost. That's because everyone's interested in investing in AI. If you are looking for another list of some AI stocks you don't want to miss right now, check out this free report on marketbeat.com. You just have to scan the QR code or click the link I have for you in the description of this video to get that free list of the AI companies you don't want to miss in your portfolio this year. You can check that report out right now on marketbeat.com. Thomas, back to this company, I think one thing that's important to talk about is that rapidly developing technology can be difficult for investors to understand maybe why it's needed, how it works. But what investors do understand are sales and contracts and the things that show up in earnings reports. Is there enough of that evidence here to give investors some confidence in investing in this company?
Well, right. So in the last report, I was saying there was some traction shown with some new deal volume, some ramping revenue, and some forward indicators of increasing demand. We're expecting to see that continue in the current report. And as far as the technology goes, you have to remember or think that all of these IoT devices and robots are going to be reliant on these visual inputs, whether it's radar, lidar, optical, video. But what Ambarella's systems on a chip do is process those visual inputs, do a lot of processing at the edge so that they're able to help and assist the AI models put that information to use, help those machines move around, and actually do the tasks that they're intended to perform.
The robotics part is going to be a really big part of tech development right now. We're seeing a lot of investment in this area. This is one little niche area of that, and it's great to see that stock doing really well right now. Anything investors should know about risk involved with this stock?
The biggest risk will be competition. I mean, computer vision is pretty central to the advancement of physical AI. So all the major AI players have a finger in this pie. But as it stands, Ambarella is the leader. It's the most advanced. It's certainly the most significant pure play. So I would expect to see it do well over the coming years and potentially become a takeover target.
Another really interesting company to talk about. These are all three really good growth stocks. And I think what they have in common is that they're new tech. There's some kind of new developing technology. And we've seen through the last few decades that those are the companies where investors can really make the most growth potential is in these new and up and coming technologies. Is that something we are continuing to see today in the market where we're seeing a lot of interest in these new tech, new growth areas?
Oh, absolutely. It's the new, it's the cutting edge. It's always what's driving the technology market. It's one of the stories we've been talking about with Microsoft and Oracle. These were both legacy tech companies who have reached hurdles, hit walls because their old technology was not keeping up with new technology, and they have reinvented themselves and emerged as new technology winners. Oracle specifically has become central to the AI infrastructure industry. It's no longer a small player anymore. It is now a mega cap blue chip tech stock, certainly on track for $1 trillion valuation.
That's a really interesting point to make. We have these smaller companies that are new, focused in one area, but some of the older tech companies are, like you said, really transforming their business to keep up with the evolving technology. So they are also a part, even though the name's been around for a while, they're still a part of that race for the cutting edge technology too.
Right, exactly. I mean, just think Microsoft was all about packaged software way back in the day, and now it's the leading cloud player. one of the fastest growing hyperscalers, certainly the leading provider of AI powered cloud services for businesses.
Yeah, so investors, it's good to keep an eye on these up and coming companies, add them to your watch list, and hopefully get some growth ahead. But it's also important not to forget about some of those big tech players too, because of their evolving technology as well. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Are you looking at some of the growth companies, these new and up and coming names, or are you also looking to see which current companies are really on the cutting edge of new technology development? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Thank you, Thomas, for your time today. And thank you for watching MarketBeat. We love to have you here. As always, happy investing.